How's it going, guys? Today's video we're going to go ahead and unbox the new RTX 3090 Ti for the Win 3 Ultra Gaming Edition from EVGA, and we're going to unbox it and we're going to go ahead and install it, and we're going to run it against my previous Kingpin 3090 to see which card gets the better scores. And so if you go ahead and stick around for a second, we'll start unboxing the card. Okay, like I said, we've got on the left here, we've got our new 3090 Ti for the Win 3 Ultra Edition, and on the right-hand side, I've got the box that my Kingpin came in. I've already run some tests on the Kingpin card, and I'm going to pull it out of the system here in a minute, and then we'll go ahead and get this unboxed, and we'll compare the cards, compare the specifications on each card, because this does have slightly more CUDA cores and some other things that are a little bit different, but otherwise they're pretty similarly spec'd cards. And then we'll get this installed in the system, and we'll see how much better, if better at all, it does in certain benchmarks that I've already run on the Kingpin card. So stick around and we'll get started on that momentarily. Alright, so we've got some different accessories that come with it here. I actually don't know. This is called an E-leash, it says, but I have no idea what that's for yet, so that's something I'll have to look into. We've got a mounting bracket to help add stability to the card. That's nice. This is the okay, so this is the connector that allows you to hook up your power supply to the card, because they need a different kind of power connector now. They use a 12 pin, so it's 3 8 PCI Express connectors that connect to a single 12 pin. We'll get that out here in a minute and look at it. And we've got the little pamphlet that comes with it. This one actually appears to be directly made for the 3090 Ti. A lot of these are kind of generic, so it's kind of cool when they do one specifically for the card that you have. I think they still show them with NVLink. Like, I almost thought it'd be fun to try this with NVLink, but I'm not really likely to do that. I'm not sure what this is. I was kind of wondering if some of these were, if this was related to this E-leash thing that they're talking about. Yeah, it is. It says, see, install the VGA card, lift the graphics card. So it's kind of holds the card up from the top. So they've got a bracket and they've got this leash thing to hold the card up so it doesn't drop. It's like you can tie it to the top of your computer somewhere, and then you tie it to the back plate on the GPU or something to keep it from sagging. So these are pretty heavy cards just by all the BS that they included, that I suspect they're pretty heavy. Give me 1 second here. Let's get this this thing out of the packaging, because I want to look at that real quick, that power connector I was talking about. So that comes with some zip ties, Velcro ties. Oh, these are nice looking. So, like I say, you're going to convert, I don't know how well this is focusing, sorry. This is 3 8-pin PCI Express power connectors off of your power supply to a single 12-pin. They call it the, I believe it's called ATX 3.0. I don't know how well this is going to focus, sorry. This is a different camera I'm not used to using, and it doesn't seem to be, I set it up to autofocus, but it doesn't seem to want to autofocus, so hopefully you can see that okay, but it's got 12 pins. To my understanding, each of these can deliver 150 watts for a total of 450 across this connector. And if you have, and then you can get another 75 across the PCI Express bus for a total of, is it 50? I think it's 550 that you can do total that way. If you have a proper power supply, some of the newer ones will have this built into it, and then they just have one cable that goes directly from the supply that looks like this on both ends, and those can do 600 watts directly across that cable. But I haven't been able to find a power supply that actually supports that. I'm sure they exist, but I looked at all EVGA supplies. I didn't see one from Corsair. I didn't see one from was it Supertower or something. I looked at like 3 or 4 different brands, and I couldn't see one that had this connector built into the supply. So it may not actually be a thing yet, or there may be only like 1 or 2 models that you can get that with. But that said, let's have a look at this ridiculous card that we bought today. Well, technically I bought it a few days ago. Oh my gosh, I don't even know if I can get this out of the freaking container. Holy crud. That thing is freaking huge, guys. That thing weighs, I think they said it weighed, like this package was almost 8 pounds. So the card is probably about 7.5 by itself. Holy smokes. Yeah, I'm probably going to want to use some additional bracket or bracing inside the case to keep it from, you know, bending something. Good Lord. Let's see if there's anything else in the case. If not, or in the, oh, we got little case badge, as they often include from EVGA. So that's a little thing. I never put those on my cases because if I sell my case, I don't want to have it on there. It might detract from somebody being willing to buy it, but that's pretty insane how big that card is. Give me 1 second here and we'll have a look at it. Alright, we've got it out of the packaging here. As usual, it comes covered with a bunch of little shrink wrap and so forth all over the card, but it's look at the size of this thing. It's 3.7, I think they said it was 3.75 slots, so it's basically 4 slot card. You get the nice back plate, which does actually sound like plastic to me. Doesn't sound metallic, so that's sort of cheesy, but it's got a back plate. And as with previous cards from EVGA, hopefully that's focusing well enough. It kind of, there we go, that looks right. So we've got our RGB connector here. So that's addressable RGB. I believe that is 12 volt. And what you can do with that, or maybe I think it's 5 volt, whatever. Addressable RGB will let you connect up any RGB fans you have if you want to run them from the EVGA Precision X1 software. And so you can hook up your connector here or your case or something, and then you can control all the lighting in your system using EVGA software. Be careful with these pins. They're really delicate, and I have broken one on a card before. Just keep that in mind. It's really easy to damage these pins because they're fragile. Here we've got a 4-pin fan connector, so you can hook up case fans to the card and again control them through the Precision X1 software. It's more useful when you have like a hybrid card, or if you have the Kingpin like I do. It's like you can control all the fans that are on your radiator or something through, again, the Precision X1 software. It gives you more control over your fans through one section, and you can do it within Windows instead of like going to your BIOS to change certain fan speeds. So that's nice. And then here, as I said, we've got this. This is an ATX 3.0 power connector, as I mentioned, which is what we're going to hook up 3 8-pin connectors to and connect to that one spot on the case. Use a dedicated line for each one of these. It's a load balancing thing. You don't want to take like the daisy braid from your power supply and have like 2 of these really connected to one port off your power supply. That's a no-no. You won't get enough power. So anyways, as I mentioned, that's what the back connectors of the card look like. Let's see what the other side looks like here. So I'm trying to just kind of keep from tipping this thing over. It's actually kind of heavy to hold it up here. So it's got more of a three slot bracket with only 2 mounting points, but it's 3 slots deep, and then again the cooler goes even beyond that. But we've got 3 DisplayPort 1.4s as usual, and we've got an HDMI 2.1 port, and that appears to be it for our I/O. We've got the little backplate connector there, so you can screw it in with 3 screws. Probably want to use at least 2, if not all 3. We still have an NVLink connector, so pull that off here real quick. So theoretically, if you had 2 of them and about a 2 kilowatt power supply, you could probably run 2 cards if you were so inclined. You know, I'd like to screw with it for like to see how well you could run Deep Face Lab. I know this doesn't work. It doesn't work with a damn for games anymore. There aren't even that many benchmarks you can do with you know, with SLI or NVLink, but it would be fun to try it out for the like I say, how much faster I could get deepfakes to train. But as big as these cards are and as much as they cost, that's really not a super likely scenario to play out here, but it would be interesting and fun to screw with it all the same. So the specs on the card are, it has 10,752 CUDA cores, which is about 300 more than an RTX standard 3090. It says the boost clock is 1920 megahertz. That's the same boost clock that my Kingpin has, so they should be very comparable in that regard. When I benchmark, I'm not going to overclock anything. This will be just stock benchmarks today. The system we're going to test it in is the 12900K, and I have 32 gigs of G-Skill DDR5 5600 megahertz, And let's see, it also has, so this has the same amount of memory as the RTX 3090, except for it's probably a bit faster. So this is GDDR6X again on a 384-bit memory interface, 21,000 megahertz effective, and 1,008 gigabytes per second memory bandwidth. It supports ICX3 technology, and it has a PCI Express 4.0 connector. So these are not Gen 5 PCI Express connectors yet. As far as I know, nothing is using that yet. I don't know if the new Intel cards, the ARC GPUs, are going to use 5.0, but the 12th gen i9 does support, theoretically, like the Z690 chipset has Gen 5 slots, and the 12900K has Gen 5.0 LAN support. So when the 4000 series cards come out, if you're using a 12th gen Intel chip, you should have support for the full bandwidth that your board can support, but I doubt it will really matter. It won't probably make much of a difference, if any, overrunning it on a 4.0 slot. That said, I'm going to get all this plastic off here. I'll pull out my Kingpin card, and then we can compare them side by side, and then I'll go ahead and get this installed, and we will try it. Alright, so we got this thick, chonky boy out here, and comparing with our Kingpin card. Now the Kingpin, of course, has the all-in-one cooler attached to it, so some of the things will be different size just because of that reason alone. The coolers on these were always 2-slot because the pump is doing a lot more than some fans can do. And we've got our big 360mm AIO on there, whereas on here we just have this gigantic heatsink fan assembly with 3 of their lovely fans on it. But that said, that's pretty much the two cards compared side by side. Really some pretty massive cards, both of them, really. It'd be cool if you could NVLink the two of these. Now, this one, the SLI connector, NVLink connector rather, is up a little bit above. You can see the bracket here is like at this level, and then the connector is up here. But on these, the bracket's down here, and then the connector, you actually take this piece off, and then the NVLink connector is at the same level as the bracket. So these cards are not the same height at that point, and you can't connect the two of them even if they did work together, which they don't. But that said, those are our two beautiful EVGA masterpieces. Next thing I'll do is I'll get this bad boy installed in our system, and we will test it out. Give me 1 second, we'll get it in that system. So I finally got it in the machine, but it was definitely not wanting to cooperate initially going in there. It's like, I don't know, I kind of had to, sorry, I guess I'm getting a little close to it for the autofocus, but like I couldn't get it pushed back far enough, and it wasn't lining up very well with the PCI Express slot. It's like had to give it a good little nudge. So be careful when installing it to damage your case or your motherboard or anything. It's kind of questionable. But that said, the connector that I want to use, I guess, goes on the back here. So we're gonna, looks like, yeah, like the little tooth on it here on this side, and it goes facing this direction, I believe. Alright, so we've got our connector, power connector connected, and the other 3 again are going to go to each a PCI Express 8-pin power connector. And once I hook those up, which it's still not focusing with the darn. Well, this camera is different, sorry, I'm not used to yeah, the focus doesn't do much. There you go. So yep, I'm going to hook each one of these up to an 8-pin. I'm going to try it initially with my extension still on there, but if that ends up having a problem, then I'll have to take those off and just go direct from the power supply to each one of these. I probably should do that, but do as I say, not as I do kind of thing. So I'm going to try it without removing the extensions and see what happens, but I'll go ahead and get that connected up, and we'll power up the machine here in just a second. Just as an aside, it would be physically impossible to install 2 cards in this system. You can see where the other slot is at. It's just like rubbed up right against this thing. So this is a 3-slot spacing motherboard. You would not be able to install 2 of these cards in a board like that. You would either need 4-slot spacing, or you would have to put a different kind of cooler on the card to be able to fit 2 of them in a computer. So looks like 1 is all we're going to be able to do. All right. I was going to try to install that E-leash thing, and quite frankly, the instructions are useless. It says it comes with a screw. There is no screw. So I don't really know what it's talking about, but there's like a little notch that you can connect like this right here by the power connection. There's like a little notch in the side of the card, and I'm probably too close, but there's a notch like right here, and you can, this is really difficult to do with one hand. It's like it doesn't want to work. Sorry. So you can slide it into the side of the card right here, and then you're supposed to attach the other end of it somewhere to the top of your case, whether it be to a fan or to the chassis itself, but it says to use a screw that's supposedly included, and there is no screw included, so I don't know what they're talking about, and I don't think that they do either. But I don't know, I got 2 screws in there. It seems like it's pretty level. I have like one of those kickstand things downstairs somewhere, GPU rest, so I think I'll just use that at some point if I feel like it needs it. But let's see if it starts up without frying out. Probably help if I plugged it in on the other one, wouldn't it? Hold on a second. Trying again. Hey, neat. Didn't immediately set fire to itself. That's always a good sign. And for anybody who watched my video I did on the original 3090 for the Win 3, this looks very much the same that the old ones did. Lights up down here on the bottom a little bit. I don't know if I can get a good angle on that with this camera. Hold on a second. All right, you can see lights up on the bottom, lights up on the side, and the back plate, there's the EVGA logo that's lighting up for us. So in a moment here I will get set up to go through and play around with all those different settings, and we'll go over how they work. So stick around here for a second, and I will go over the different lighting profiles it can do in Precision X1, and we will benchmark the card. Alrighty, I'm in Windows, and we've got our card set up. We've got EVGA Precision X1 running, and I've already set the fans to run at 71% across the board. I don't know how well you can hear it from here with the the microphone, but I don't want to say it's silent, but at 71%, it's really quiet. Let me put up to 100. That's making some noise. But even that, like, isn't egregious for being as high as it is. Like my RTX A6000 is like about that loud all the time, or close. And that's only at like 70-ish. Because those blower fans are crazy loud on those things. But at 71, you can hear it dying off. The point where, I mean, I'm only a couple feet from the computer, and you don't notice it at all, really, especially if you've got like a room fan going or something like that, or have your computer playing any kind of audio, you're not even going to notice it. So that's really nice. I've been very impressed with some of the things. I've already run some tests and so forth, but I've been very impressed with the results. But that said, let's go over the LEDs and how they work. So you should be able to see what it's doing. Currently the lights are off, and I've got them set to all synchronized, and then you can set it off, and then you can change them individually and control. There's also a light on the end of the card. I guess I forgot to go over that, but there's a light on the end of the card by the power connector and so forth. But there's one on the back plate, there's one on the end of the card, there's the big panel on the front of the card. This is what you guys should be seeing in the camera. And then you also have the little LED. What it's talking about here is anything that you connect up to the addressable RGB header on the back of the card that we talked about earlier. So you can control those individually, or you can synchronize everything. I'll just set it to synchronize, but we got static on, and I just set it to white. I can change it to green for a nice NVIDIA green. We can go red. You know, actually, this is one thing I noticed about there is that red is never really very good for red. It's more like pinkish purple or something. I don't know. Yeah, their red is never a very good red. I don't know what's up with that. Blue looks fine. Pink and stuff works fine. I don't know why red doesn't work very good. Green or blue. Sorry, that's a turquoise blue. But anyways, that's static. We've got a breathing, so it can kind of go between two colors. You have black, and then set it blue, and it'll kind of rotate between being just kind of off and being a blue color. So to see it cycling, you can change how fast or how bright it is. So if I want it to go faster, so it'll more like pulsate. But we'll go on to the rainbow option, which is just cycling between different colors. And again, I can speed that up if I want, or slow it down, kind of dim it out a little bit. Can't get hold of that. Go back here, color cycle. We'll just randomly cycle between 7 different colors, which you can select and change if you so desire. Rainbow Wave is more of a wavy, see, it's sort of cycling the colors from left to right as opposed to what it was doing, which was just going between one color and the next color. Wave, let's see what that does. Okay, so it sends like a pulse of light back and forth. This is one of my favorite ones, actually. Kind of cool. We've got a star pattern, it says, which is like little twinkling lights all over the car. That's, excuse me, card. It's kind of nice, actually. Color stack. That's kind of cool. So it sends the pulse back and forth, and as it changes the pulse, it changes the color. And temperature, which is based on, so lower temperatures will be blue, medium temperatures will be green, and high temps will be red. So right now it's in the blue because it's at a lower temperature of 33 on idle. So hopefully that'll be useful for anybody looking to control their RGB on their card. And like I say, you can hook up via the addressable RGB header on the back of the card. You can hook up RGB fans to that. You could hook up your case lights to that, LED strips, any of that kind of stuff that you have. We can tie all those things together and then run it directly to this, again, the little connector on the back of the card, and then control those lights from within here. So that's kind of a nice little bonus. But next up, I will go ahead and fire up the benchmark results that I've been looking at, and I think you guys will be pretty impressed. So stand by here a second. Alrighty, hope you guys enjoyed today's video. As I was talking about, we've got our For the Win 3 Ultra Edition. Right now they're available on the EVGA website here, so if you wanted to jump over real quick and pick one up. They didn't have the Ultra Edition, but the For the Win 3 Gaming Edition was available at $21.49 MSRP on the EVGA site as of the time of making this video at 7:12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Saturday night, April the 2nd. So it's not April's Fool's joke because it's not April 1st anymore. That said, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Do I recommend the card? Yes and no. Like right now, if you look at the MSRP on a lot of cards, Asus cards are coming down right now. So if you want to pick up a 3090 or even like a 3080 Ti or a 3080 or something, Asus cards have all been dropping in their price in the last couple days. Might wait and grab something like that. I think EVGA has the better warranty though, so if you want to go with a better warranty card, EVGA is a good option. They usually, I believe they have 3 years, and it's transferable to at least one other person, whereas with Asus, I'm not sure what their policies are, so, you know, maybe they have decent policies as well, but to my understanding, they don't have the warranty that EVGA offers. So also EVGA has their step up program, although there's currently nothing to step up to for a 3090 Ti. If you were to buy a different card and then later decide you'd like to trade it back in and get a 3090 Ti or a different card, EVGA offers that, whereas I don't believe any other company does. So those are things to consider. The power consumption, as we saw, jumped up to a little over 450 watts. Really only about 20 watts more than my Kingpin, but the Kingpin is a bit power hungry anyway, and it runs higher than most stock 3090s do. As you saw, the performance was anywhere from like 6 to like a little over 6 to like 11% faster, and that's stock on the 3090. Again, for the Kingpin is not a stock card, but at the Kingpin's stock settings, this card out of the box is about anywhere from 6.5 to 11% faster. But these are probably about as overclocked as they're going to go. I could try doing some overclocking if anybody wants me to give that a shot. I can try doing a video where I overclock this card. I'd kind of like to not continually swap the cards back in and out of my case because, as I mentioned earlier, I actually kind of had a hard time physically installing this, and I don't want to keep taking it in and out of the case. I don't want to damage the card. I don't want to damage my motherboard. It was difficult to get it into the PCI Express slot. I don't want to worry about that if I keep doing it and cause damage to the card. So something to consider, like I say, is that the card is a little bit physically difficult to install. You need a really large case to install this. Like, I mean, the case I have is considered a Supertower. That's the Phanteks 719. You know, like a regular full tower should work, and some mid towers may work as well, but it is a really physically beefy card. And as I said, it's like basically 4 slots deep, so you're not going to install 2 of them unless you have a fairly large motherboard, like it probably extended ATX that has the slots at least 4 slot spacing, and even then they'd be like physically right on top of each other. So NVLink, for anyone crazy enough to try such a thing, is pretty much not going to happen. So that said, I hope you guys found the video useful. If you did, consider giving it a thumbs up, subscribing to the channel. Like I say, make requests if you'd like me to try specific games with the card and see how it functions, how well it does. But it does look like it runs everything, as I said, anywhere from like 6.5 to about 11% better than the Kingpin 3090. So probably substantially faster than like a Founders Edition example 3090 that would run it closer to like a little over 1800 megahertz, whereas the Kingpin is like 1920 stock. So that said, appreciate you guys watching, and we will see you guys again in the near future. Have a great weekend.